Yes, welcome to the first ever Monday night edition of Beyond Reason Radio here at BeyondReasonRadio.com, and also just announcing the Beyond Reason Radio app, which you can download on your smartphone at your appropriate app stores. This is your host, Michael Yaffe, as always, exclusively. This is the voice of reason, the voice of the millennial generation in an age that is, well, beyond reason, sifting through everything in the news that is, well, beyond reason. And I thank you guys for joining us. We're going to broadcast every Monday and Friday at 8 p.m. We're going to really expand the show. The podcast of the show is available pretty much anywhere you can catch a podcast. So pretty much anywhere that there is a podcast, you can catch the podcast of this show. Make sure you can hear me there. Turn it up. I have a little home studio here set up and everything. I'm also on Periscope. You just go to my Twitter at Beyond Reason R, and you can watch the show on Periscope as well. So I didn't want to start the show with this today. It wasn't really my intention at first to talk about guns again, because I've already talked about guns. I've already gone there. Seems like I keep having to go there because the attack on the Second Amendment continues. It continues. And it's really a lot in our pop culture. And there's a new celebrity out there. A new celebrity who everyone thinks is so funny. I actually saw her movie recently. There was some funny parts, but the title really exemplified what the movie was. And that movie was Trainwreck, and the celebrity I'm talking about is Amy Schumer. A lot of people think she's funny. She is kind of funny. I like some of her stand-up comedy. I'm not going to lie. But some of it really bothers me. For one, the Trainwreck movie, you want to talk about every kind of curse word you can have, expletive you can have, sex scene, any kind of thing you can think of they had in that movie. And it was a lot of dry humor, which usually I like. But I don't know. But she has been on this big thing because she is related to Chuck Schumer, who is, of course, in Congress. So she's related to Chuck Schumer, and she has decided to go against gun control. She has decided to be another celebrity that is going to go for gun control, go after guns, go after the Second Amendment, especially after the recent tragedies. Now, I've already talked about on this show why we need the Second Amendment. I've already talked about how on this show, which Amy Schumer doesn't answer either, because I asked the question, what kind of gun control would have stopped the shooting? What kind of gun control would have stopped the shooting in Oregon? They never answer that question. What kind of gun control would have stopped Sandy Hook? They never answer that question. And they're not going to answer that question because they know that their gun control won't stop shootings like that. That's why they won't answer it. But anyways, Amy Schumer goes on Saturday Night Live. She goes on Saturday Night Live, hosts it, and they do this little thing. It's like a PSA for guns, and it's supposed to be really funny, but it's really attacking the Second Amendment, and it's been everywhere today. Our pop culture is going to keep pressing this until there's gun control, and they don't want to say this. And actually, there's been some commentators who have been pointing this out. Crowdhammer's one, and I said this before, and it's true. What their goal isn't just some kind of reasonable gun control legislation. Because they often mention what European countries did. Well, what did countries like Australia do? They confiscated guns. That's what they want to do. That's what they want to do here. They want to confiscate guns. I'm just saying. They want to confiscate guns. Now, they're going to get bolder, and they're going to get saying that, and they're not going to be happy until that is one day done in this country, which, of course, as I've said before, would pretty much start a civil war in this country. It would. But our pop culture is pretty powerful, especially with our generation, my generation, the millennial generation. We like Saturday Night Live. We like these skits. We like the viral videos on YouTube like this. And at first, this seems kind of funny. But here is the audio of that video, and I'll point out some of the things in the video after because the audio doesn't really do it justice. You have to see what they're doing. And honestly, it's good. It's clever. And that's what scares me. Because a lot of people, especially in our generation, are going to laugh at this. They're going to think it's hilarious. Oh, yay. And they don't realize that while they're laughing, that while they're celebrating this, they're laughing at this. They think it's funny. They believe in what she says. They're basically laughing while people work to take away our liberty. So we're going to be laughing and entertained while people work to take away our liberty. I don't know why we celebrate every time people want to take away our liberty, but that's what we seem to do. So here we are. I'm going to play this audio here. Unfortunately for the people on Periscope, I just realized you probably won't be able to hear the audio.
Test 1 2.
So if you're on Periscope right now, make sure to go to the live stream and check out. Make sure to go to the live stream and check out the show, which is on Beyond Reason Radio, beyondreasonradio.com. All right, so here we go. I'm going to play the audio. I have a little bit of a new setup. We're actually going to be working on making this a pretty nice studio in here. But first things first, we wanted to get the show on the air because I know a lot of you want to listen. So here is that so funny. It's so funny. Amy Schumer knee slapper audio from her.
Whatever you're waiting for,
Because that's at the Grand Canyon.
whatever you face, whatever you're looking for, there are things we all share. Love. Family.
See, it's kind of like a funny little PSA.
Connection. A sense of purpose. And also, guns.
And see, everybody's laughing there because
there.
they're at the dinner table and they open up a present and it's a gun.
And big ones. When things fall apart, or it all comes together, they unite us, comfort us, bring us joy and strength. From first loves to new beginnings. Wherever life takes you, guns, we're here to stay.
So there you are. And just to give you a little bit of what it looked like when he did it, when you see the video or whatever, just to give you an idea of what it looked like. Amy Schumer is one of the characters, and there's one part where they're opening a present, and it's like, and guns, and she opens a present. You all laugh because, oh my gosh, it gave her a gun. That's so funny. And then there's another part where there's a woman pregnant, they're about to go to the taxi cab to go to the hospital, and she makes sure to grab her rifle because, she would need that on the way to the hospital. And obviously it's extreme. Obviously it's trying to be ridiculous to make a point. And that point to them is we don't really need guns in our daily lives. Now, of course, that's taking on our gun control, and that's really making fun of you. Because to them, it's showing how ridiculous it is. But to us, it's ridiculous because reasonable people are responsible with their guns. Most of us are responsible with their guns. We're not going to just shoot them in the air. We're not going to just take big rifles to the hospital. No, we want the Second Amendment to be able to protect ourselves, especially in our home. We can conceal the firearm, like get a concealed carry permit, and just have it on us so we can at least have the ability to protect ourselves. Why is that so extreme? Now, what the real reason the Founding Fathers, I've mentioned before in this show, the real reason the Founding Fathers wanted guns was to protect, it was a last check on government tyranny. That if the government ever got truly tyrannical, that the people would be armed and it would be a check on them. So just to, we could either fight back, worst case scenario, but it would make them second guess being too tyrannical because they would realize, hey, we have an armed population and maybe we don't want to make them mad. Oh, I know that's so extreme. Oh, that can never happen, Mike. I've mentioned in the show before, you listen to my past broadcast, it has happened and it can happen. And then, of course, Ben Carson has been attacked because he pointed that out. And he pointed out that it actually happened in Nazi Germany. And, well, you know what? I'm going to play that. I'm going to play that audio now. I was going to wait till later, but I'm going to play the audio because when I listen to it, maybe I'm just crazy. Maybe I just don't understand what's going on. I don't understand. Maybe I'm just crazy, but what he says makes sense to me. It seems to make sense to me what's going on. Why is this so crazy? But according to the Amy Schumers of the world, according to the left of the world, according to our pop culture, Hollywood, they're going to tell you what he said is nuts. In fact, Seth Rogen came out with the tweet and basically said F Ben Carson because of what he said. What did he say that was so crazy? Well, this is a little bit of the comments of what he said that's getting everybody all riled up, even though it really makes sense. And I compliment Ben Carson for actually standing his ground on this, so to speak. But this is what he said about this.
My point is, that was only one of the countries that I mentioned. There were a number of countries where tyranny reigned, and before it happened, they disarmed the people. That was the point. Noah Webster said, when he was talking about tyranny, that the people of America would never suffer tyranny because they are armed.
So, but just clarify, if there had been no gun control laws in Europe at that time, would 6 million Jews have been slaughtered?
I think the likelihood of Hitler being able to accomplish his goals would have been greatly diminished if the people had been armed.
Because they had a powerful military machine, as you know, the Nazis.
I understand that.
They could have simply gone in, and they did go in and wipe out whole communities.
But you realize there was a reason that they took the guns first, right?
So what Ben Carson, and actually what he ended with, is really what actually makes a lot of sense, and it's actually true. I have a whole book on it. By the way, those are watching on Periscope. Producer Mike just walked in. We'll talk to him a little bit later on in the show. But back to Ben Carson. What Ben Carson said, and he was pointing out that the Nazis, their power against their own people would have been greatly diminished if their people were armed. Now, one of the Nazis, the first things they did when they got in power is they confiscated guns. They had step after step after step to get rid of guns. Why do you think they did that? That's what Ben Carson's asking at the end of that soundbite. Because, whatever his name from the Situation Room, Shepard Smith, is Wolf Blitzer, I'm sorry, with Wolf Blitzer. Wolf Blitzer says, well, he's kind of basically saying, well, you're an idiot because the Nazis could have taken him away anyways. His only point is it would have been greatly diminished. Doesn't mean the Nazis wouldn't have been successful, but the people would have at least had an opportunity to defend themselves. What is so wrong with that? But the Nazis knew that. See, even though our culture doesn't get it, our pop culture doesn't get it, our Hollywood and the Amy Schumers of the world don't get that, and the media now attacking Ben Carson don't get that, Hitler at the time actually did get that. He actually did fear an armed populace, and that's why some of the first steps he took were to confiscate guns from the people. So what he said wasn't that outrageous. And I mentioned in shows before, if you check out the podcast, that it's not that crazy to think about. But that's okay. We all laugh at the Amy Schumer jokes as they take away more of our liberty. And of course, they never have a good alternative, like I've said, to where we are at. They don't have a good alternative to that. And they won't have a good alternative to that. I thank you all for listening so far as the first segment of our first ever Monday edition of Beyond Reason Radio. That is Mike in the background, who's got a better microphone than I do, apparently. He's bringing it out now. You're listening to the first ever live Monday edition of Beyond Reason Radio at beyondreasonradio.com. Don't forget to download the app at your app store for your smartphone. You can get the live stream there as well, or just listen on beyondreasonradio.com, or get the podcast pretty much anywhere you can possibly think of to get a podcast. You'll be able to get a podcast, but, there as well. When I get back from the break, I want to talk about another SNL skit. On Constitution Day, I did a little speech in front of Orlando City Hall. It was a great honor to do that. And I talked about how our Constitution, it's more than them just trying to infringe on our rights. Our Constitution is under attack. Oh, another extreme comment by Yaffe. But I'm going to prove it. And our pop culture is actually pretty clever when it does this. So I'm going to prove that. We're going to get to that. You're listening to Beyond Reason Radio at beyondreasonradio.com. If I can push the button right. See, I told you this is... this is why I need my producer who walked in. Wait, here we go. At beyondreasonradio.com.
If you like Beyond Reason Radio, well, make sure to show it by liking the Facebook page at facebook.com/Beyond Reason Radio.
Orlando's newest dining sensation, Doc's Streetside Grill, specializes in amazing flavors at prices you'll love. With special events and entertainment ranging from trivia to live bands to poker every evening, there's something for everyone. Doc's has amazing flavors that are always fresh. You know the motto, made today, bought yesterday. Doc's is located across from Orlando Regional Medical Center on South Orange Avenue. Check out DocStreetSideGrill.com for more info. Doc's is your prescription for good times. See you there.
Hey, this is Mike Yaffe from Bud Hedinger Live and Beyond Reason Radio, and I have a question for you. Are you planning on taking any long road trips this summer? Well, I have the perfect tool for you to make that trip go by a little bit faster. What you want to do is download the iHeartRadio app. With the iHeartRadio app, you can find your favorite music stations or create your own custom station. Don't forget to look up your favorite talk show hosts. You can find that on there as well. Make sure to download the app today at iHeartRadio.com.
If an individual student athlete or team wins a high school state championship, it's an amazing thing. And it goes in! It's also just the icing on the cake. That's because young people in Florida who participate in education-based athletics are already winners. Studies show that win or lose, participation helps to impart skills they can use to enjoy greater success in other areas of their lives. School sports teach the benefits of teamwork, the value of self-motivation, and the importance of accountability. They also help to foster stronger work habits and higher levels of self-esteem. In other words, the true value of school sports can't be measured in terms of wins or losses. If an individual or team goes to state, it's an incredible accomplishment. But regardless of the outcome, today's student athletes are already destined to go far. School sports, a winning part of a complete education. This message presented by the Florida High School Athletic Association and the Florida Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Hey, it's the Budman inviting you to join Yaffe and me for WFLA's next big presidential debate viewing party at Doc's Streetside Grill. Hillary and the Democrats debate Tuesday, October 13th. Come on in for dinner and some fun at 6, then stay for the debate and watch them squirm under the pressure. Doc's Streetside Grill, 1315 South Orange Avenue, across from ORMC. More online at DocStreetSideGrill.com or call 407-841-3601. See you at Doc's for the Democrats debate Tuesday, October 13th.
Orlando's newest dining sensation, Doc's Streetside Grill, specializes in amazing flavors at prices you'll love. With special events and entertainment ranging from trivia to live bands to poker every evening, there's something for everyone. Doc's has amazing flavors that are always fresh. You know the motto, made today, bought yesterday. Doc's is located across from Orlando Regional Medical Center on South Orange Avenue. Check out DocStreetSideGrill.com for more info. Doc's is your prescription for good times. See you there.
Hey, this is Mike Yaffe from Bud Hedinger Live and Beyond Reason Radio, and I have a question for you. Are you planning on taking any long road trips this summer? Well, I have the perfect tool for you to make that trip go by a little bit faster. What you want to do is download the iHeartRadio app. With the iHeartRadio app, you can find your favorite music stations or create your own custom station. Don't forget to look up your favorite talk show hosts. You can find that on there as well. Make sure to download the app today at iHeartRadio.com.
If an individual student athlete or team wins a high school state championship, it's an amazing thing.
And it goes in! It goes in!
It's also just the icing on the cake. That's because young people in Florida who participate in education-based athletics are already winners. Studies show that win or lose, participation helps to impart skills they can use to enjoy greater success in other areas of their lives. School sports teach the benefits of teamwork, the value of self-motivation, and the importance of accountability. They also help to foster stronger work habits and higher levels of self-esteem. In other words, the true value of school sports can't be measured in terms of wins or losses. If an individual or team goes to state, it's an incredible accomplishment. But regardless of the outcome, today's student athletes are already destined to go far. School sports, a winning part of a complete education. This message presented by the Florida High School Athletic Association and the Florida Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Hey, it's the Budman inviting you to join Yaffe and me for WFLA's next big presidential debate viewing party at Doc's Streetside Grill. Hillary and the Democrats debate Tuesday, October 13th. Come on in for dinner and some fun at 6, then stay for the debate and watch them squirm under the pressure. Doc's Streetside Grill, 1315 South Orange Avenue across from ORMC. More online at DocStreetsideGrill.com or call 407-841-3601. See you at Doc's for the Democrats debate Tuesday, October 13th.
Listen to the latest episodes of Beyond Reason. Download the podcast at Spreaker.com.
Welcome back to the show, everyone. You're listening to Beyond Reason Radio here at BeyondReasonRadio.com and streaming live on the Beyond Reason Radio app. I thank you all for joining us as we talked about gun control. I know everyone's kind of sick of that topic, but that's where we are in this country as they attack guns more and more. So, you know what's beyond reason? You know what's really beyond reason? Hillary Clinton apparently is a robot. Hillary Clinton is apparently a robot. So there's that. You're like, what are you talking about? It's not my words. I didn't say she was a robot. She said she was a robot. Now, I guess she was kind of joking, but it's funny because there's kind of an element of truth to that. I'm going to get to that story in a second. But you know what else is beyond reason? You know what else is beyond reason? This is the world we live in. We want to ban guns for regular, ordinary Americans, law-abiding citizens, to be able to protect themselves. We want to ban guns for them, and that's what they really want. We want to confiscate their guns. But did you know that the Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA, which is supposed to be all about global warming and saving the environment, did you know that they spend millions of dollars on guns? I kid you not. They spend, this is from Investors, dollars over the last decade: guns, ammo, body armor, camouflage, equipment, unmanned aircraft, amphibious assault ships, radar and night vision, gear and other military-style weaponry, and surveillance activities, according to a new report. Why does the EPA need all that stuff? Look. All I know is the American people shouldn't have guns. But the EPA, they must need it. Who knows what kind of crazy... I mean, are they going to go to war against global warming? That's it. They're planning a war with guns and amphibious assault ships against global warming. I guess that's what they're doing. The EPA, they spent $1.4 million for guns up to 300 millimeter, $683,000 for communication security equipment, $208,000 for radar and night vision equipment, $58,000 for miscellaneous weapons, $42,000 for special ammunition. What is the deal with this? By the way, the EPA has an $8 billion budget. That's crazy. And more than $50 million of EPA's funds since 2000 went to international organizations. Some $75 million is authorized each year for criminal enforcement, blah, blah, blah. And I guess the special agents of criminal enforcement need guns. I'm just pointing this out because this is the world we live in. This is what makes sense to the world now. What most of us, like me, find beyond reason. The fact that, why does the EPA need guns? Seriously, this is what they're saying. One side of their mouth, they're thinking the EPA needs guns. They need all this special military equipment. And then the other side of their mouth, they're saying, but you don't. Regular, law-abiding, ordinary American citizens who can use them to protect themselves, you don't need it. Tell me how... I don't even know what to say because it's so beyond reason that that's the crazy backwards world that we live in. Unbelievable. Okay, back to the Hillary Clinton is a robot. Now, I have to rethink this because, I've always said that when the robots take over, that I'm just going to side with the robots because there's no chance. I'll just say, hey, look, robots, I'll just do what you want. I'll side with you. By the way, if the robots do take over, if the left takes away all our guns, how are we going to protect ourselves from the robots? Okay. I know that's a little crazy. All right. Everyone is going to take me seriously on that, though. But Hillary Clinton, she was asked in a BuzzFeed interview why she doesn't sweat. Not like, why she doesn't get nervous. They literally we've noticed that you don't sweat. What is your secret? Hillary Clinton, she says this, and, I might have believed her if I heard this. I don't know. She says, you guys are the first to realize that I'm really not even a human being. I was constructed in a garage in Palo Alto a very long time ago. People think that, Bill Gates and Steve Jobs, they created it. Oh, no. I mean, a man whose name shall remain nameless created me in his garage. Whoever created that Hillary Clinton robot needs to be arrested because, really? You couldn't create something a little bit better than that one? All right. I thought he threw away the plans. At least that's what he told me when he programmed me. Oh, Hillary Clinton said a joke. She said a joke. She's so funny. By the way, this is all to make her seem funny and likable and all this stuff. And it's, it's funny only because it's true because she is like a robot. So we'll see if this comes up. Maybe this will come up in the debate tomorrow. Maybe they'll ask her, Mrs. Clinton, I want you to look at the audience and tell them, are you actually a cyborg? Are you actually a robot bent on destruction of America? Now, if the robot was made in America, does that robot have the right to run for president? I guess if the robot was born in America and is an American citizen under the Constitution, I guess she could still be president, right? Maybe. I don't know. This is the serious stuff that BuzzFeed gets into. I'm sweating now and I'm sitting still. What is your deodorant situation? This is what they asked her. Well, first of all, you've only done a little bit when blah, blah, blah. What's your secret? And that's when she says, I'm a robot. Blah, blah, blah. They talk about deodorant for like half this interview. What is going on? So there's a cyborg army. This is one of the questions. Are there more of you, Hillary Clinton? Oh, God, I hope not. I thought he threw away the plans, but who knows? I've seen more people that kind of don't sweat and other things that make me think maybe they are part of a new race that he created, the robot race. I just hope it's a better model than the Hillary Clinton robot. So there's a cyborg army, is what you're saying? But you have to cut to this, is what Hillary says. You can't tell anybody this. I don't want anybody to know this. This has been a secret until here we are in Iowa, and I'm just spilling my electronic guts to you. It's actually kind of clever. Hillary trying to be funny. I I give her some credit. Without any bourbon. Yeah, that's why I have to wait till the end of the day. All right. So apparently there's a cyborg army of Hillary Clintons out there. I don't know if Hillary can run for president if she's a robot. It doesn't really address that in the Constitution. And it's kind of funny because it's true. But the debate should be interesting because basically you have a bunch of socialists up there trying to pretend they're not. Except Bernie Sanders. He's going to say, well, I'm a socialist. And Hillary Clinton's going to say, that's too extreme. But then she's going to say a bunch of socialist things anyways. And then O'Malley's probably going to take off his shirt because that's all he seems to do is take off his shirt. I don't think anyone knows anything he's actually ever said. And then there's a couple other candidates that I don't even remember their names because, well, nobody remembers their names. I have to get into something that I saw on CNN.com. This is another important news. This is where the news cycle is today. Democrat debate. What Katy Perry, Ashton Kutcher, Demi Lovato, and other celebrities would ask the candidates. Would ask the candidates in the next debate. What? I know you're all wondering what Demi Lovato would ask the candidates of the debate. Well, we'll tell you.
Listen to the latest episodes of Beyond Reason. Download the podcast at Spreaker.com.
Yes, welcome back. You're listening to Beyond Reason Radio at BeyondReasonRadio.com and on the app at Beyond Reason. Just download the Beyond Reason Radio app at your local app store. We're also on Periscope. We have one person watching us on Periscope. You can follow me on Twitter at BeyondReasonR and like the Facebook page, Facebook.com/BeyondReasonRadio. We have a little studio set up here. Michael and I are going to be working on, because we have a sponsor in Docs who's helping us out and everything, we are going to be working on making this a much better studio. We maybe are going to work on trying to get phone calls. We're going to work on any of the technical glitches that you might have heard during the show. We're going to get all that worked out. Just stay with me. I know this is the last thing I really should be doing right now. I shouldn't be pointing out. This is what I always tell people not to do on the radio. Don't point out the mistakes, because then people will notice the mistakes. You might not notice them before, but don't point them out. But this show's real. It's just me and you talking with one another. It's real. This is me. It's not a game. I'm not lying. I'm not putting on a performance. I'm just saying what I really believe and trying to connect to you, give you some information, give you some truth, be the voice of reason that you want out there, especially for the millennial generation. Because there isn't a lot. I know that you, the millennial generation, cares about this stuff. I know you do. And you're sprinkled out there, especially a lot of you that really care about preserving the Constitution, preserving liberty for our future, preserving a free market economy. I know a lot of you really do care about this stuff. But there's nowhere to find a voice, a place to hear about this stuff for you. So I'm trying to do that. This is really all about you. And I just thank you guys for listening. And as we continue to grow and continue to expand and continue to move, and Mike and I work very hard to get things put together and to keep making the show better and better. Make sure to tell your friends they can listen to the show Mondays and Fridays at 8 p.m. at BeyondReasonRadio.com or download the app. You can get the podcast everywhere from iTunes to iHeartRadio to Podbean to Spreaker to SoundCloud to Stitcher, all those places. Or you can just go to my website, BeyondReasonRadio.com, and listen to it there. All right, I know. This is what you've all been waiting for. You've been waiting the whole show to hear about this. What do the celebrities... Yes. I'm sure they have very good questions. What do the celebrities want to ask the Democrats at the debate? Of course, I don't remember them doing this for Republicans. Maybe they did and I just missed it. But what do the celebrities think? Katy Perry says, with the GOP crusade to defund Planned Parenthood momentarily deflated, how do you intend to consistently protect American women seeking the legal, affordable health care that they so desperately require do I even have to respond to this? Planned Parenthood, sell baby parts. They keep parts of the baby after it's been aborted alive to sell its parts. Why are we not more outraged by this? I don't understand. All right. Okay. That's all I'm going to say about that. There's plenty of other ways for women who need affordable health care to get it. And in fact, the government just makes it more not affordable, which I've talked about many times on this show. All right, Ashton Kutcher actually didn't have a bad question here. He said, during your presidency, this would be his question to the debaters, during your presidency, you will be faced with a robotic revolution. For example, driverless cars and semi-trucks, as machines take skilled and unskilled jobs from Americans. This will further hollow out the middle class and divide the society. Not necessarily. That is not necessarily true. In fact, a lot of times with technical revolutions like that, it actually helps the economy grow and creates more jobs for the middle class and actually creates more opportunities for entrepreneurs. Exhibit A, this show. New technology I would not be able to do the show like I am doing right now if it weren't for new technology within the last couple decades. So those things he mentioned could actually end up creating more jobs than it gets rid of. It's when the government steps in and tries to prevent that new technology from blossoming, to prevent the free market from working, that's when things get all messed up. That's when the middle class gets hollowed out. Ashton Kutcher, I would recommend that you read a couple of people for me. I want you to read Milton Friedman's book called Freedom to Choose. Very excellent, talks about this in economics. And then I want you to read Basic Economics by Thomas Sowell. Both address these things very well. Both talk about how the free market is the best thing for this. That would be my answer to Ashton Kutcher. All right, Demi Lovato, singer and actress, says, what's the biggest issue with our healthcare system when it comes to mental health care? And what specifically will you do to fix it? It's not a bad question, actually. I mean, mental health is a problem, but they're just ignoring it and blaming the guns instead. Okay, Andy Weir, author of The Martian, said, at present, the United States lacks the ability to send humans into space. This is very true. If elected, what would your space policy be? Would you work to foster commercial space flight? What directives, if any, would you give to NASA? And most importantly, what would you do about NASA's budget? I've talked about this many times. The Democrats aren't going to say this, or they might give some little things about this, saying, oh yeah, we'll help NASA, and then not really do anything about it. NASA is the one part of the budget that if I were president, that I would increase. The only part of the budget that I would increase is NASA. Because it's that vital to our national security, is that vital for the production of new technology. It is incredibly vital. And when we're having to go into space with the Russians, we're having to hop on board of their spacecrafts, it shows we're way behind in this regard. And when I say it's vital to national security, we have a whole infrastructure that is up in space that is now vulnerable. We have no way to protect it. We're going to have to be able to protect it in the future. So I would increase that budget, and all it takes is true leadership. Kennedy was a Democrat, and yet he went in front of NASA and says, we're going to go to the moon by the end of this decade. Not because it's easy, but because it's hard. There's no leadership like that at NASA. They don't care. They're going to let the private companies do it on their own a little bit, and they're doing a good job. I like SpaceX, but we're really, really, really behind on the game there. All right. Sonda Rhimes, creator of Grey's Anatomy and Scandal, says there is so much divisiveness in our government today. Achieving anything of substance seems impossible because compromise seems impossible. What do you think needs to be done to unite Congress so that they are working more for the good of all of the American people as a whole and less for the good of the partisan interests that seem to have currently halted any hope of legislative change or progress? I've talked about this before. I hate that it's automatically assumed that legislative change and progress is a good thing, that the government actually doing more is a good thing. I kind of like gridlock sometimes because that means the government isn't busy taking away more of my liberty. If anything, they need to be getting rid of government. They need to be killing bad bills. They need to be cutting government expenditures. And that would be real progress. But no, if anyone stands up for those things, if anyone actually wants to cut the deficit, cut the debt, increase NASA, actually do things that would help the economy and the country, then it's considered partisan interest. I guarantee you, if the Democrats got everything they wanted, Miss Sonda Rhimes would be okay with that. Then she would be okay without compromise if the Democrats won. I guarantee it. There's a lot of other stuff here. Let's see. Andrew Solomon, who's an author, says, how can we shape a foreign policy that fosters appreciation for American values instead of resentment of American... What kind of question is that? Okay, sorry. I'm gonna ask this again. Andrew Solomon, how can we shape a foreign policy that fosters appreciation for American values instead of resentment of American privilege? Oh, it's such a big problem. Everybody resents us. Can cultural diplomacy be revived to achieve this goal? By the way, cultural diplomacy was revived under Obama, and it has been an abysmal failure. Tell me, do those being killed by ISIS right now care about cultural diplomacy? No, they just don't want their heads cut off. They would appreciate American values when America actually stood up against evil in the world and defeated them. Then they would appreciate American values. Will we lead by inspiring example rather than by force? That's how we're going to defeat ISIS, Mike. We're going to defeat it by inspiring example, not by killing them. No. So while Christians are being shot and killed and stabbed, we'll at least have some great cultural diplomacy. So they'll love our American values and those being killed by ISIS. Wow. Yeah, exactly. I don't think they care about American privilege at that point. All right, I thank you all for listening to the show today, Beyond Reason Radio. Make sure if you missed any of the show, catch the podcast at BeyondReasonRadio.com. We will be back Friday at 8 p.m. for another show. I'm also probably going to do a midweek update, a little short podcast that's going to come out Wednesday. Just make sure to keep up with my website, BeyondReasonRadio.com. Download the app at the App Store on your smartphone. You can listen to the show live or catch the podcast there as well. And I'll catch you guys next episode to talk about what is really beyond reason.
Knowing so well that nothing comes from indifference. I look inside